Well, hello there, Internet, and thank you for watching this video. And in this video, we're going to be looking more into the code. Now, I'm just going to go quickly explain to you some of the bugs that I found. Application, I misnamed the data source here. It was misnamed, not working appropriately. That is fixed now. A couple things that I've added was this here. This is going to be if it's using Apache or not. If you're using Apache, we can use mod readwrite, which would make life a lot easier for some of us if we're using Apache, which I am on a machine that I have. So that's there, and that'll help recognize if we're using Apache on how to generate search engine friendly URLs. Another thing I added was a database prefix here. That way people can use a single database and they can add core to the database if they want. Another thing I added was base harf. That's just the application base harf, which is used by core to generate your header. Let's see here. Other than that, search engine friendly URLs, this would tell it if it's going to be generating search engine friendly URLs or not. This is true, although it's not working yet. This would, but okay, that's all that changed in there. Okay, so let's look at the init.inc.cfm file, which I said we would look at next time. This time, okay. So of course, always document your code. Deny direct access. We don't want anybody to do that. We then include the constant settings, so we are going to be using this, and I will show you those settings now. This is the settings for the constant, which I will explain to you very briefly. So, of course, deny direct access. So deny direct access here, and this is where we're actually setting directory settings. Now I know in the application that we set some settings. This may change still. I'm really not sure, but I know that in the first version of core that I have, that I got honestly about 76% done with. This is what I actually used, and what this does is this gives you a request directory. We just create a new structure, and then we want to say a request.cfc library. That's basically pointing to the application directory root.cfc. That way we don't have to remember how to get exactly there, and then we just append includes .library for the CFC. That follows the name convention for the CFC. And then the core library, which is just appending the request.directory.cfc library to the core dot. Alright, and this is where our modules are located. A module is the main content on the application. There's actually two types of modules, and this is going to be very important if you're actually trying to create a custom module for coreCMS. I will go into the details of how you properly name your modules in the file conventions that you should use in a later video, but for now I just want to go back and explain init.inc. Okay, so after you got your constant settings, and I showed you that, what we do here is we actually go ahead and get the request details. Now the request details holds all the details about the request that are important to coreCMS. Now, request details does not hold your variables, like your post variables or your get variables. It just holds all the necessary information to generate core. And what we do is we just want to create a new component and create an object of component, and then we just reference the request.directory.cfc library and the core library, because the request actually lies within the request folder here, and then we just request, which I'll show you where that file is. It includes library core request, and that would actually load appropriately, and we'll show you that file. Actually, let me open that up. So we have this file here. I mean, it's not exactly finished yet, but it is a start. So okay, let's go back before I explain that file. We can close this file. We're not using that. Close this file. We're not using that. Okay, and then we get ready to do the security check, which we'll implement in just a second, or next video, I guess, or a video following. And then what we do, I'm just dumping out the var request details, this here, to show you that we are getting a little bit of information from the site. Okay, so request.cfc. Let's explain this really quick. This is just a function, and the way it works is there are 3 important variables that get passed into the URL. Well, actually, there could be 4. If you pass in an alias parameter, that would actually take place of this. This would actually be overwritten, where an alias is a menu item that has an alias. It actually read that information from that particular menu and load the necessary information. Now, if you don't want to pass in an alias, you can pass in the fuse, which a fuse is the module that you want to load, while the controller is the main controller. Now, I'll explain to you how a module is laid out, what's the difference between a controller and a block soon. And an ID is the page ID. Although this is not going to be necessarily needed, the ID helps to load particular block positions. Now, if you don't pass in this, it will not load any block positions. It will just load the fuse and the controller. Alright, very good. And after that, we convert them into something that's used, like request operator, request module, controller, page ID, etc. and the alias. And then we see if the alias is not equal to blank. If it's not equal to blank, we then go ahead and get all the details from the alias. And we will also pass in where we will get the information from. This is there as well. The ID would just pass. Continue on, but that's over explaining everything. Okay, so let's see what we got. Okay, so this is just the core, and this is what we have so far. It's nothing fancy, but you can see if I append some parameters like alias, let's say home, we'll see that we get some changes there. Well, we get the page ID, so the alias loads the page ID, and that's very good. The module, it did not load a module because that's not set. Let's say we pass in, I think pages was one of the aliases that I created. So we pass in pages, we still get the alias of pages, controller default, module is pages. Very good. I think another one I created was apps. So we have alias, apps, controller view, module pages, and the page ID is 2, so that changed. So we can look at another one, which I said was fuse, and this was we'll just say test, since it's not going to do anything, and the controller equals default, and the ID of the page is equal to 5, 4, whatever. So we get some changes there. Notice alias is an empty string, which is good. We don't want that. Another thing I want to show you is actually the debug time. So it's actually pretty quick. 118 milliseconds of total execution time. Although it's not doing a lot yet. With actually, I'll show you what core was really quick. So core was actually going to be a clone of Facebook, and that was a great idea. But yeah, it's something that I decided it could be. You could still use Core as a Facebook clone, and I still may do that. Just sell the add-on so I can make some money from Core. But Core is going to be an open source project, at least my intentions, and that is my hope to be a community project there. This actually executes pretty quickly, so we'll see the execution times. 573. That's less than a second. And if we refresh it, I do believe that actually will speed up. Yeah, which it did. 366. That's 1/3 of a second. So it actually is pretty quick, and I can show you some of the functionality that it works. You can create a page. You got to log in. Do I remember the details? I actually don't remember the details. Sorry, guys. I'll have to. That sucks. All right. Anyways, like it was something that I was working on. You got apps. You can go to an app. It'll load the application, which is pretty good. So with that said, Core is definitely something that we're going to finish. In the next video, I'm going to show you some of the concepts for the administration panel that I was thinking about. That way we can start looking at that. Well, not in the next video, but in a later video. I'm not sure which one because I'm kind of skipping around a little bit. We'll show you what the administration is. I found a really nice admin template that's free for open source projects. So we'll look at that, and we'll think about implementing that. Alright guys, have a good one, and thank you for watching.